I am here.
Yo, you hearing me?
Yeah, I hear you. A bit quiet. Um,
Craziness, John. Craziness. I had a deadline that I had to meet, and then boom, thunder, lightning, lights gone. No water to bathe.
Because I saw actually saw lightning, like saw it like hit the
Hold on,
ground.
hold on, hold on. You saw what?
I saw lightning and I saw it hit the ground. So I thought current was going to go.
Right.
But so when I saw it, I was like, nah, this current ain't gonna stay. So when you
Yeah.
messaged, I was like, wait,
How it's
you
looking? How
can't.
it looking? How it look just now? I want to see how my background looking. How it
Um,
looking to you?
looking good.
What needs? All right, cool. You seeing me properly in the screen?
Yeah. I've seen you properly.
All right, cool. Yeah, I didn't even get listen to me. I put on makeup by ring lights,
Mm-hmm.
powder, powder, eyeliner, and a little bit of eyeshadow, and that's it. I say, oh shit, John will get to
No, it's all
the
good.
full
Don't pour
effect.
nothing. So you're good to go. Yeah. But you good though.
I got just a little stressed because of everything. The rush now. Like I said, I had
Mm-hmm.
to finish stuff, and the dogs ran out of the house, so we had to go chasing after them in the yard.
Oh.
The thunder scared them. It was a whole back of that. It was a whole scene.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm good. I'm good. I just need to breathe and calm down a little bit.
All right. Well, when you're ready.
Yeah.
Um, I
Hmm.
don't know. You're using your phone, so I don't know how stable the internet go be.
Yeah, I
But
don't know either. And I using our son's laptop, which should last for like a 2 hours.
okay.
Um, so hopefully that should be okay. But I
All
using it
right.
for the light and for the phone, so that will drain his battery real fast.
All
So
right.
we'll see. Yeah,
All right. Well, let's go on. What time it is?
let's go.
All right. Let's go.
Very looking possible.
Right. We on.
Hey.
So Ruth,
Yeah.
we
Yes, John
on.
John.
All right. Where we are. Okay. I don't know why I'm not in the shot. All right. Yeah. So what's
That's
up?
cool.
What's good?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here. Happy
All
to
right.
share some vibes with you, talk some things.
All right.
Um,
Talk some things.
yeah.
Yeah.
Should I
Huh?
tell the audience that lightning just like knocked out my electricity? I should
Yes,
tell
we
them that.
could.
I
We
could
could.
tell
We
them
could
that.
tell them the whole story.
Yeah.
Dogs went out the yard.
So people, thunder and lightning just knocked out our electricity here in Chancellor. Dogs ran out into the yard. We had to chase after them. All this is before John show, right? Um, Yeah, it's been fun. So I am using a ring light and my phone, and it's hooked up to a laptop that we hope can last. Yeah,
And that is the kind
yeah.
of that is the kind of
Good
dedication.
vibes,
That is the kind of
good
dedication.
energy.
That is the kind of dedication we like. Because many of us would have
Put on
cancelled.
makeup by ring light.
So we
Yeah,
glad to
yeah.
we glad to have you. You know. You wanna say hello
I
before
am
you
glad to
go in
be
the bedroom?
here.
You wanna say hello? She said she likes you here. By the way, say hello.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Say hello and goodbye.
Hi, I can't see you. You have to come by your daddy so I could see you properly, you know? Hello.
Hi.
I see you on Facebook and hear so much about you. Nice to see you.
All right. Bye bye. Good. Yeah. So how's COVID and how are you handling COVID and stuff like that? How has it
Yeah,
been for you?
COVID has been a challenge, but challenges aren't always necessarily bad. You know what I mean? Like
I hear what you're saying.
exercise is a, exercise is a challenge. Meditation is a challenge. You know.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So yeah, like the rest of the world, there's a deep sense of grief for the
Mm-hmm.
lives lost, for the people who are in pain, um, for the people who have lost income. So there is for me, I feel a certain amount of grief, and I feel the displacement. At the same
Mm-hmm.
time, though, and this is what I've wanted to say, but haven't necessarily said it on social media because that could turn nasty. Um,
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, though, I also feel very strongly that there's an opportunity. There are opportunities on so many levels. We talk about, oh, when are we going to be able to go back to? And we seem to have forgotten that we didn't even like what that was before COVID happened. We didn't like the normal.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us felt, a lot of us felt boxed in. A lot of us felt like we weren't living up to our full potential. A lot of us felt that the society that we're a part of has so much that needs fixing and transforming. And then COVID happened.
Mm-hmm. But
And
do you think it's a matter of not just we didn't like where we was, but never really understanding how blessed we was too, because that could also be
there's that.
the flip coin.
There is that as well.
Sometimes
There is that as well because, yeah,
we get accustomed to a certain way, and we get, but we don't know how lucky we are until we lose it. That kind of way.
I
So that's
agree.
also a flip
I
side of the
agree
coin. But I hear what you're saying.
that,
You know, we have
John,
opportunity to actually change. We actually have an
yeah,
opportunity to change. A lot of the stuff that needed fixing. So a pause could
yeah,
do that.
yeah.
But it's
You know what you
twofold.
said that resonates with me too? You see
Hmm.
that flip side? That flip side? I find that a lot of us seem to be unable to hold the flip side. Like it's possible. Like you see how you asked me about COVID? It's possible to look at one situation in a number of different
Multiple
ways and
ways.
understand that
Yeah.
they all can be true.
Hmm.
So yes, we can be grieving. Yes, we can be in pain. Yes, economies would have taken a huge hit. Yes, a lot of us would have a greatly lessened income. Some of us none at all. Um, but at the same time, yes, it's an opportunity to be grateful. That's a big deal. It's an opportunity, like you said, to live in the moment and to value
Mm.
the things that we might have
No,
taken for granted in the rush. You know, yeah, the now, which is also so
no.
important for artists, right?
Very,
We
very
have to live in the
important.
now. We have to live in the now. So there are multiple sides to the situation, to COVID, and to what it has brought to the global society, the global community.
Hmm.
I just want us to be able to embrace all of them. I don't want us to get lost in the one story or the one
Hmm.
narrative and miss so much of the treasure
But I think we
that's
just
right
have
there
to.
in the tragedy.
We also not understanding the now as well. We also have to understand the individual self, because I mean,
Yes,
not too much take on people's other stories, but kind of sometimes you
exactly.
have to be a little bit selfish with your thought, because I could be
Yeah,
going through it, and somebody else not, because these probably still have a job, or still have, even they
exactly.
might not have all the income, they might still have something, but
Right,
somebody do have
right,
at all and didn't have before, and so it's
right, right.
it's it's really multifaceted. um so there's tons of stories,
Yeah,
and I
there
think with
are, there are, there are.
the musician's job is, or us as griots, in a sense, is to tell the stories. Our
Yeah,
job
yeah, yeah.
are to tell the stories.
I
So
agree with you. I agree with you. If you
everybody,
can bring
you
yourself
know,
to actually tell the stories, because I haven't done much writing since COVID. I'm being honest.
um, I have written some
Yeah.
stuff, but a lot of stuff is stuff that I had put down.
Right,
So
right.
earlier on in the first wave, I should say, or the first 3 months, I did some writing and some, trying to make some music. But this half year, mm-mm.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I have
Right.
zero zeal to create anything. That is why I decided to come
Yeah,
and
I
talk,
understand.
because people always want to come on and sing and sing and sing and sing, and that's why I decided, just talk and
Mm-hmm.
get stuff out. And when the creative zeal come back to actually
Yeah.
perform and make music, I'll do that.
Talking is the next way of doing it.
Yeah, telling the
Yeah.
stories. So since we're on the topic of telling stories, tell me a bit about who you
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
outside of the music, because I know you're through the music, but I don't think I really speak to you before concerning who you are and
Okay.
how you reach to the point of coming to Trinidad and that kind of thing. Because you're a
No?
Guyanese born. No,
Really?
I don't think I know the story. I don't think people know this
And we've known each other for quite a
for
while, huh?
quite some time.
So
I don't
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think we have a
That's an overdue conversation.
conversation. So we're here now. So tell me a bit about who
Oh,
Ruth is.
right. So I'm Guyanese.
Mm-hmm.
Um, born, raised in Guyana. Moved around a bit. Spent a few years, well, more like 6 to 8 years in Dominica. Um, then came here to study. Went back home briefly, came back, decided I wanted to stay.
Okay.
um, I am what you call a PK, a preacher's kid.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my yeah. My mom
Mm.
is a Pentecostal pastor, so I grew up in church.
That's good to know,
Um, yeah,
because
yeah.
I had some
And
questions down the line concerning
attack
faith and stuff like that.
really
So good to know
okay,
that you,
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I hope I don't surprise you when you ask those questions.
No, no, no.
But surprises are good actually. I mean, you know. And so church life and Christianity and the way my mom and my dad raised me. My dad is deceased. My mom is still alive. My parents had the biggest hearts. So I was raised in community. I was raised with the understanding that the individual must serve community.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I'm really grateful for that. That has shaped who I am. And in a way, I still can't live up to it. I still can't live up to the greatness that my parents were, you know. Um, but that aside, life in Guyana, life in Dominica. I spent my secondary school years in Dominica. Um, and then I went back to Guyana uh, for my first degree, University of Guyana, and I went back without my parents. My parents were still in
Mm-hmm.
Dominica, and of course, an 18-year-old goes back home um, without her parents. I don't have to tell you how
Mm-hmm.
much fun I had.
Freedom. Freedom
Um,
personified. Yeah.
and so those were also formative years to me. Of course, full advantage. But so those years were also important. The breakaway years, I call them, because they sort of shaped. It was the first chance I got to shape my ideology
Mm-hmm.
and my perspectives and myself away away from the molds and the
That's
foundation that my parents had put down.
when that's
And
usually as
and
that's it's
as
done.
beautiful as that foundation was, I also think that those are the years. Those are people don't talk about it, but listen to me. Everybody has their university, their university stories.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I came to Trinidad to do a postgrad. Um, ACM, Arts and Cultural Enterprise Management.
Look at
I
that.
went back to Guyana after and decided that no, Trinidad too sweet. So I came back and I've been here. I've been here ever since. I've been here for about 13, 14 years. About, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Met a Trini man, fell in love with him, married him. We have a child, a daughter, a dear.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was further down the line, but how is it as a creative balancing um you know the being a wife and being a mother and being
Right,
I'm
right,
guess
right.
being all these things because we have to be this. I think we spoke about it last week with Eden. Creatives
Mm-hmm.
in this space don't just get to work on music alone. We have to be all these things
No, we don't. We don't.
and still
We don't.
create.
Mhm.
But how is the balancing act for you?
So there are definitely moments of frustration, I could tell you that. And I also have a job. So I'm one of those who actually has some income coming in.
Hmm.
I'm a speechwriter, so which is also a creative job. Um,
Job, yeah.
the it's been it's been it's been it's been a learning experience, especially in this time. So there was a time when I could go into my office and do my work, and I could separate myself,
Hmm.
and allow myself the space to be creative and to craft a speech article or a song, whichever it was, a poem.
Hmm.
With COVID and the resultant lockdowns, what's been happening is that I'm in my house with our daughter, my husband, who also has two children who are young adults, and they're with us
Hmm.
as well. And it's been interesting because our daughter has online school, and online school is basically like the parent is co-teaching, eh? Look at
Hmm.
that.
I'm waiting.
So
I'm waiting for my
we spend
turn.
a lot of time online with her during the day. So there's definitely some frustration around finding time. Yeah, tell me about your experience.
Well, I haven't
Tell me about
had
your
that. I
experience.
haven't had that experience with the
You're seeing
online.
somebody right in the corner there. I don't.
Yeah,
Uh huh.
she has gotten so big because I
Uh
think I
huh.
remember her as a baby. So how old is she now?
How old are you, Dee? She's 8.
Oh yeah, because I
She's
remember her as
8.
a baby. I actually remember when he was pregnant and all that. So it's been a while.
Oh Lord, it's real long we know each other, John John. Anyways,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
tell me about your experience.
Well, I haven't had the online schooling experience yet. I had to deal with it dealing with SEA. So she had a lot of school during July and was in and
Wow.
out and that kind of stuff. So I waiting on results
Wow.
tomorrow to see where I'm going with the online
Right.
schooling. I
Right.
pretty much had the
Right.
time to sit down and do but I don't know if I could do it because I don't have patience.
Hmm.
So I
Right.
that's one
Right.
of
No, that
one
is
of the,
also a very real struggle for me.
that's one of the things
Patience.
that I lack. One of the things I wish I could have patience. I mean, I
No,
have
but
some
patience is
results,
not
but
something that you have. It's something that you build up. Be
yeah,
careful when you ask for patience.
true,
The universe will send
true.
you situations where you will build patience.
Yeah. So but as doing the balancing act as I'm a parent and an artist. Sometimes it's hard for me to disconnect because I'm always in creative mode. And I kind of operate.
Right.
Um, I do planning, but I do operate with some amount of VAPs. So I might just catch an idea one day and
Yeah.
decide to do something. So I just had to know when I could do that and when not to, and they just children is one your
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
which is
They
fair,
do. They do. They do.
you know.
They do.
But
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's so far I haven't had much things on my plate per se, so
Mhm, mhm,
it's
mhm.
easy to balance so far. Um, and I
Right.
kind of pick and choose when to do stuff, when to do shows. Um, well, pre-COVID, um, I used to pick and
Right.
choose when to do stuff and that kind of thing. I wouldn't say I was busy gigs, or I used to say, well, I had tons of shows, but
Mhm.
yeah, it works for me, and it is what it is. So I kind of, I'm like water, as I say, be like water. So I
Niceness.
have lived my
Niceness.
life basically floating um, new situations. Um, so I
Makes
have
sense.
somebody asked in the comments here. Janessa asks, "Do you miss home? Do you miss Guyana?"
I do. I do. The in Guyana, I was surrounded by the church community,
Hmm.
and I didn't realize how supportive, and in a sense nurturing that community was until I left it.
Hmm.
And so in Trinidad, I sort of am building my community, but it's not a ready-made community. It's not like you're born and your family goes to a church and so you become a member of that church and they know you since you were in Pampers. And
Hmm.
the relationships and friendships that I've built in Trinidad and that I'm continuing to build are very much alliances.
Hmm.
They're very much friendships born out of vision, a sense of purpose,
Hmm.
um, similar perspectives or worldviews, or even if not similar perspectives, because I do have some friends who I'm like, why do I like you again? What? Like we have these conversations, right?
I I have
um,
I have friends like that too. We don't
but
have
but
anything in
but
common.
but exactly. But at the same time, there's the understanding that you both bring something to the table for each other, that you offer a balance
Yeah.
in perspective. And so that is what I miss about Guyana the most. The community that was just there, ready to jump, that you felt a part of, and you walk the road and you could say, yeah, this road is my own. You know,
Hmm.
I remember having a meltdown, literally. My poor husband, he has to put up with these things sometimes. Of probably about 8 years ago, something happened with a client. They said something that felt like they literally pulled the rug from under my feet. And I remember walking out of the office into our vehicle in tears and saying, I want to go home, I want to go home, I want to go home. And then trying to explain to him for the next few hours how I felt. I felt like I couldn't walk in this space and own it. I felt at that point that person made me feel like an alien. Um,
Okay.
so so yeah, so that sense of community and ownership of a space, um, because you're born there, nobody could question your
Yeah,
right to
who you
be there
are,
and your
and
right to
and
have a say.
that was my next
Yeah.
point. That was actually my next point. Growing up as a youth, um, I remember Guyanese being the butt of the joke. Because I
Hmm.
grew up in the 80s. I remember Guyanese being the butt of the joke, and I didn't really understand xenophobia and immigration and that kind of thing. So it was always fun. It was always the Guyanese, like how we
Right.
we kind
Right.
of we kind of talk about Venezuelans now. We kind of used to do the same thing to Guyanese. So how have you? Well, other than that moment, do
Right.
you deal with
Yeah.
that a lot? Do you
Yeah.
deal with she's a Guyanese? Do you deal with that
It
perspective?
it it comes up. It comes up ever so often, much more often than I'd like it to.
Mm-hmm.
And what I do sometimes, if I have the presence of mind, the presence of mind to do it, which isn't always the case, is to remind them that human beings are human beings, one, right? That two, Guyanese have contributed significantly to Caribbean thought, identity, culture, and I'm very careful. There's an argument where and it's easier to do this. It's easier to say, you don't know me. I'm not those people. You know what I mean? But that's classist. It's elitist. And yeah. So the more difficult response, and the one that I reach for when I can, is to appeal to our humanity. And then of course, and I've done this quite a lot, I remind them of what the rest of the Caribbean thinks about Trinis.
Yeah, so everybody has their stigma.
Yeah.
So so now now that I have
pot calling cattle black,
now that I have matured a lot, from youth, so I kind of hate to hear the Guyanese argument or the Venny argument or whatever argument for that sounds xenophobic. To me, and to me,
it is xenophobia.
To me, Guyana, it's kind of, I could look at Guyana as ahead of time to kind of see where we would reach at some point, in the sense of how their politics set up and how racism set up there, and I could see if we're not careful.
There is that.
If we are not careful, we could easily be. How much our dollar has grown or lost value since I was young to now. I remember in primary school class, somebody mentioned the price of bread in Ghana and something, and the whole class erupted in laughter or something like that.
Yeah, and I get that. I still get that. I get that all the time.
And
I get that all the time.
We are that price now, so I always see it as you're not too to be humble now.
You know what a lot of Guyanese say? You know what a lot of Guyanese say?
Yeah.
That Trinidad is Guyana with oil.
And now that Guyana
is that
have
simple
oil.
As Trinidad is Guyana
with oil.
Same or almost the same demographic.
And
the only difference is oil and gas.
And that makes real sense.
Yeah, and not right. But here the scary part as well though. The oil and gas has been like a buffer. It's been like not even a buffer, yes, but also a sort of coating, a sort of sugar coating over what really happens in our societies, what the reality is for us, right? In Trinidad and Tobago. You remove that and you start to see the holes and the cracks and the crevices and the distance between communities and people and ethnic groups and the politics and you start, once you remove that sheen, that material kind of glamour, pixie dust, and I'm not even sure that the oil and gas is necessarily a good thing because it does just that. It widens the rift between people, between communities. The way we treat with resources like oil and gas, the way we treat with economies and finance. When you have these sorts of things, you don't see community.
You don't see the human resources. You don't see
the human resource. No, you don't see connection. You don't see, because you have these things that cover it up, right? You have your internet and your TV and your nice car and your 3 houses and your 4 cars and your AC. Why do you need community? right?
Yeah.
And I think what we're learning in Trinidad and Tobago now is that, hold up, we need community to survive. We need very real, tangible bridges between
Mm-hmm.
people, and between people who have resources and people who may have different types of resources, because it's not necessarily that people don't have resources, eh? It's just that what they have is not what you have.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And in a sense, Guyanese have always known that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily know if,
I was actually watching
yeah, if
I was watching a video on that same topic, and they was actually saying that countries that were high in resources developed more slowly than the ones without. So there was more economic growth with countries without rich resources than ones with. So us as an example, they use us as an example, Venezuela as an example, certain countries
right.
in the Middle East, for example, that were rich in resources. I mean, they didn't mention the part about um, slavery and stuff like that,
Of course not.
um, but
Who
they
wants
did
us to remember
mention
that?
nobody.
Hmm.
But they made a point that countries that
Huh.
were rich even post colonialism, were rich in resources,
Hmm.
are less wealthy than the ones without, um, because they depended highly on this buffer, and the buffer wasn't sustainable, and realized, okay, what are we gonna do now? And then to the point where we reach now,
Hmm.
um, the oil and gas
Hmm.
is not as big as it was, and it was too late to put down stuff for the rainy days, and we are at a point where we now have to take off
Exactly.
subsidies and that
Exactly.
kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about more the music. So I wanted to ask, what's your writing
Yeah.
process? I actually had one of my questions. What's your
Yeah.
creative process? What's your creative process?
Right.
From music and lyrics and that
Right.
kind of thing.
So I wish I wish I could say I wish I could say I was one of those writers who would get up religiously every day and set time aside and write,
Oh,
which is really, if you're
there,
taking this thing seriously, really what you're supposed to do.
there are people like
I'm
that.
I'm
I didn't
I'm
know that.
working on it. I'm working on it, right?
There are people like that. I didn't know there are people like that.
I'm working on it. But what really happened? Yes, boy, we sticking.
I'm not one of those people. I'm
Yes.
definitely
So
not one of those people. Sorry.
I'm glad I have company.
Hmm.
I'm glad I have company. Usually, what happens for me is that something hits me.
Hmm.
It can be a situation. It could be an insight. It could be an emotion. Something happens, and my creativity is usually my response to that thing.
Hmm.
Um, it could be as simple as a conversation I would have had with somebody, and I go back over the conversation and I say, God, I wish I had thought about this, that, and that to tell them, in
Hmm.
response to whatever it was they were saying. And I end up writing a song that is really what I wanted to say. You know what I mean? Um, so my creativity comes in spurts.
Hmm.
And usually what I do is I would sit down and I would write literally pen on paper. I hate typing for songwriting or for poetry or for
Hmm.
any type of creative writing. Actually, I hate the type the I was gonna say typewriter. Good lord, the keyboard on a laptop or on a PC just feels so
Unreal.
synthetic. It doesn't
Hmm.
feel organic.
Yeah.
So yeah, it feels unreal. So pen on paper, it just feels like it flows naturally. Um, I write the lyrics or the words of the poem if it's a poem. There's lots of changes, lots of scratching out, lots of reworking over time. Um, Sometimes if it's a song, it mightn't necessarily be the lyrics. It might be the bass line. So
Hmm.
I hear a bass line in my head. So I know I'm angry, right? I hear a bass line in my head. And then I sort of create the melody and the lyrics to go with that feeling of anger, or that feeling of love, or that feeling of desire, whatever it is. So the process varies. It's not always lyrics first. It's sometimes bass line first, rhythm first, beats, just a general beat. And then I build the other things into it. Yeah.
So everything is music, basically. I mean, based on your first, the intro song to Elemental, everything is music. So you kind of channel
Yeah,
everything
everything is
into actually, one of my favorite songs is the song that I use for the little video clip. It come with me, or
come with me.
Come with me.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's one of my favorite songs too.
That line, fear lay down here. We don't need it where we're going. Hate lay down here. Love's like a river, keep it flowing, or keeps it flowing. Man, that line, that line is so big and so huge. So as I was saying
Thank
earlier
you.
about,
I was talking to myself too.
That's actually what's coming to. Do you write in the perspective for others,
Oh, really?
or do you write for me? Like how I write. I write basically most of the songs is me talking to myself, kind of thing. So most of your songs are you speaking to yourself.
It's both. It's both. So I will use "Come with Me" as an example, right? I was preparing for a production. We were having a production, and I thought that I wanted an entry song, like a song to sort of usher the audience into what we were bringing for them that evening, into the journey. And so I thought, come with me. We're going on a journey. Come with me to a place you've never been. Come with me to a land of which you dream. And I wrote the entire song with the idea that it would be for the audience. It would be for people outside of myself. And then a while after, I realized, but wait, you're talking to yourself, girl. Because for me, fear sometimes hates, the desire for wealth, the desire for fame and for recognition is a very real thing. They're very real things that I face as an artist, and as a human being, of course. Just being human, you're gonna face situations that sort of push you up against a wall, and you feel these things. And I realized then that yes, I am talking to the audience, but I am also talking to myself.
Yeah,
because this is a place where I haven't reached that place as yet. This is a place that I'm also going to, and hopefully carrying them with me. But I'm also a traveler.
Living that life without fear, like I hear Nina Simone talk about it, life without fear, and that's like actually real freedom. So when you mention it, that's not there about fear and hate and all these so-called negative feelings that we have as humans, and the challenge with trying to overcome or trying to be in that place of freedom. So I write about freedom a lot, and is most times talking to myself, wanting to be at that place of happiness or that place of freedom where I'm not fearful of being who I am,
right?
Or being writing songs or doing me and being free and comfortable with with that. So I mean, you make me smile there when you're explaining exactly what it is you're writing about. So I mean, we are alike in a lot of ways. Who are your favorite creatives or writers or singers or
You mentioned one.
favorite?
You mentioned one. Yeah, Nina Simone. Nina Simone is like up there,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you said, her fearlessness. Her. I also remember that quote where she said, "Fearlessness is true freedom." So Nina Simone, Vonette, where? Vonette Bickford,
She's somewhere. She's somewhere
from
there, bro.
Lavray, the girl from
She's somewhere there,
Lavray,
bro.
um, Jill Scott,
Mm.
of course. I wrote a whole poem to go around the Jill Scott song, right?
Mhm.
Esperanza Spalding, she's a beast. She's
I can
amazing at what
see.
she does.
I can see that.
Um, yes, Etienne from Trinidad, um, Andre Tanker, his music really, when I came to Trinidad, I fell in love with so many songs, and so many of the artists who were here and who are still in this space.
Hmm.
And so Andre Tanker, Shadow, David Rudder, um, and then there are people who are iconic in what they do, and I'm lucky enough to actually share the stage with them every now and again. People like Terrence Shaw, guitarist,
Mm.
Wayne Guerra. So they're the legends. They're those who've gone. They're those who are still here, and they're those who are actually working at their craft and emergent and um, you know at it when the where the rubber hits the road. So yeah, quite a few influences. Um, Quite a few people. And the other thing is I grew up listening to jazz. My dad was a jazz fan, jazz and classical music. He actually had like a radio program, a Sunday
Hmm.
morning radio program on the and he was also a critic. He was editor in chief at the papers, and he would write critiques of shows and albums. And so I
Hmm.
grew up listening to Nina, Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, Frank Sinatra, the whole Rat Pack.
So
And so
I
that would
get
have
that sense. I get that sense of that Billie Holiday. Nina. Billie Holiday,
I'm
Sarah
going to take that. Thank you. I've
Vaughan
taken.
vibe from
I
you.
will remind myself of this conversation when I feel down.
Yeah. So you really do, give off
Thanks.
that vibe with a kind of natural, earthy. You when did you learn
Yeah,
to play
yeah,
flute?
yeah.
When did why did you decide to incorporate flute
Right.
into your repertoire?
So
And do you consider yourself a flautist?
interesting story. No. So especially not now. I have a lot of practice to do. I'm out of practice, and the flute is one of those instruments that reminds you. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
you won't play me now. You won't talk to me for 2 months. Who you think you is? That's how the flute is get on. So I have to kind
Okay.
of gently woo it back. It's gonna take a while. It's gonna take a while. But so as you can garner from what I just said, I was much better than I actually am now, right? So I'm gonna have to work on that. But I started learning flute in Dominica. I went to a music
Hmm.
school called the Kyrie School of Music. Um,
Okay.
and I did flute and voice, and of course theory. But the reason I started flute was because I really wanted to do saxophone.
Okay.
So in my head as this young teenager, there was no instrument that was sexier, more expressive, has that than sax. I go tell my parents, mommy, daddy, I want to do sax. And my dad says, nope, little you with that big heavy thing strap on your chest. Nope, not happening. I'm like, oh, okay, well, flute. So that's really what happened. So people think I have this love affair with the flute. Maybe that's why I treated the way I treated. Like kind of like a distant lover who you kind of like, but you're not too sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's why we're not friends right now. But that's how I started playing flute. And what happened was that um, when I went back to Guyana for my first degree, and I went to church, my church community in Guyana. I played flute every Sunday. I was part of the worship team.
Hmm.
So 2 hours of flute playing every Sunday, improvising and having fun and just feeling the music. That's really where I built my chops up in terms of playing live flute. Yeah.
Okay, because it adds a nice element to your vibe, and
It
it
does.
makes you
It
Ruth.
does.
It
It
makes you
does.
you.
It does. I'm gonna have
But
to
what
work on that. Yeah.
I know you explain a lot about how you create and how you come to making the music. But what makes that root sound Ruth? Because I don't think I've known anybody that sounds like you or vibes like you. I mean, you have this
You're just doling
uniqueness.
out compliments tonight. You're just like, let me
Uh,
make Ruth
uh,
feel good.
well, I'm being factual. I'm being factual. But what makes
Thank
what
you.
what makes you you? What's your muse? You know.
It's kind of difficult to say when you're on the inside. Like it feels
Mhm.
almost as if that's something that an outsider would have to answer. Like when they dissect and analyze what I do, I just do it. But I could tell you though that obviously, and this is true of every artist, even yourself, because I've heard your growth and seen you grow into this phenomenal artist. The I found my voice over time. So the Ruth that you hear now is definitely not the Ruth you would have heard 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. There would have been elements, or there are elements and threads that remain, that form the fabric or the foundation of my craft and who I am and my voice. So I'm still jazzy, that there are things that are still there. But I think I've definitely shifted away from what we understand to be
Mhm.
mainstream jazz, and I've moved more into the area of folk.
Mm.
And that is because that is simply a result of living in Trinidad, um, and listening to the rich um, repertoire um, of music that is Trinidadian, and falling in love, like I said, with people like Tanka, falling in love with storytellers, with people who tell stories, people who make you feel things, who make you um, feel and see things from other people's perspectives,
Mhm.
Um, and so because I fell in love with that and because I listened to so much of it, I think what happened over time was that my music and my songs began to take on that other sort of vibe that's connected um, to people, connected to earth, connected to, hopefully, I'm hoping, I'm not too sure. I try. Connected to a Caribbeanness, you
No,
know?
you ain't
Um,
trying. You ain't trying. You're being.
yeah,
You're not
connect thank you.
incorrect.
Connected to a Caribbeanness, connected to that. So that's something that would have come more recently,
Mhm.
and would have grown out of what I was listening to, what I was immersing myself in, but also out of, because I believe that art is not, my husband and I have this debate. We love to have this debate all the time. You'll be looking at a movie and I'll be getting on bad. I watching the movie, closing my eye, running away when everything gets start to get tense, and people start to die and think I gone. I can't see no children die, I can't see no person die, I can't see no horror. I go upstairs. He's like,
Mhm.
Ruth, it's just a movie. I am like, a movie is never just a movie. Art, every form of art is rooted in reality. It's rooted in concept ideas that actually exist, that are part of human experience. It's rooted in human experience, situations, emotions, whatever it is. And so what would have happened, I think, as well with my art is that as I matured, or as I mature, um, and as I become more aware of the ideas that ground me and that ground who we are as Caribbean people, I sort of
Mhm.
try to bring that up, like a tree, bring it up through my
Mhm.
roots, extend it through my branches, and bring it out into the art that I create. So I think that's happened as well, along with being lucky enough to work with very good artists who are also grounded in this space and who bring that into their music as well. So it's a whole set of stuff. But those things would definitely have shaped who I am now and what I produce now.
And
Yeah.
you spoke about Terran and you spoke about your core band because I don't think I've seen you work with different bands or different acts. You basically work with the same musicians. Are they also part of the reason
Yeah, I
why
do.
you have that sound? Although
Very
I
much
can hear,
so. Very much
I
so.
can really hear you working with Dio. I'm just saying that would
Really
that Dio Ruth combination will
serious.
definitely hit off. Yeah. I could hear
Thanks to the idea.
that that natural organic instruments with
Thanks
your
to the
flute
idea.
and your voice would work perfect.
I,
Yeah,
I
so
am looking for collaboration. So even though I work with a core group of musicians, especially in this time, you see this COVID time, where we home and we had internet and thing and we had things to do, we had work to do. I am looking to collaborate with different artists. So thank you. I'll make a note of that.
definitely.
But in response to your question, yes. So the artists that I work with, Wayne Guerra on keys, Sheena Ajibola, which is on drums, on
She's right.
percussion,
She's right in the
Macasey.
comments.
Sheena, you there?
Yeah, she's right in the comments.
Macasey on drums, Tamo on bass. Am I missing anybody? Carla Jarrell on background vocals. I feel as if I'm missing somebody. Who am I missing all you? Terry on guitar. Terry guests with me. I can't call Terrence Shaw part of my band, right? Terrence Shaw guests with me when he so desires, when he feels inclined. He's amazing. I'm so happy that he's willing to work with me. I feel why do I feel as if I'm missing somebody? Drums, percussion, bass, keys.
I don't think I'm missing anybody.
Yeah. Of course, you know that earlier on, I would have worked with Marva.
Okay, yes.
And acoustic, Marva Newton.
Yeah.
And James Fenton.
I mean,
yes.
Everybody there is friends.
Yeah, and everybody there is friends. Everybody there is super talented. Everybody there has a sense of place in this place, which is really important when you want to create meaningful and resonant art. So they definitely bring. You had asked earlier about the creative process, and I spoke about the process up to the point where I write the music, like I write the song. I didn't speak about the production process, like what happens, what brings it up to stage, or recording. And what brings it up to that point is really the musicians that I work with. I come to them with a song. Right? I have the melody and the lyrics. I have ideas of where I want the music to go. So I might say this tempo, this vibe. I might say we're gonna try this chord here. I want it to feel like this. But they really are the ones who put the meat on the bones. And make it sound the way it sounds. So in reality, it's a collective.
All right. Seems like we have a break there. Some technical difficulties. She's frozen in time. So yeah. So this is the part where I have to learn to wing it. By the time she gets back. So if you have any questions you want to ask Ruth, please feel free to drop any comments, say something, tell me how it going, tell me how the evening going, let's keep the conversation going until she gets back in, or she may not get back in because, current power outage on her end. So yeah, I'm alone. So until she's back, so tell me a little bit about all the evening. Today was kind of one of those days for me. Rain came late, so I fell asleep, and this piece of lightning dropped Dada. And I see the flash of light outside my window. And I say, oh shit, that is it. Power going on out. Surprisingly, it hold up. But I have never seen lightning that close, Jed. Like, I didn't hear thunder, nothing. I just see light and song. So if I was outside, sure, I would have get shot. So tell me how you enjoying the series so far. I had initially on man, that's my phone doing. Siri just activating, yes. Um so yes, I had Annalie on first episode, Annalie Prime. I was only on Instagram and I didn't get to save it. So I'm gonna have Annalie back on to the end of the season per se. And then I had Zara Gordon, and then I had Aidan last week. So I think I have a nice core. So I'm basically talking to my friends so far. So I'm basically talking to my friends thus far. I mean, me and Ruth didn't have much conversations prior. We speak when we meet, but nothing lengthy like this. So it's kind of enjoyable talking to her now. Also doing this kind of helping me break down mold because talking is not one of my strong points. I sing, but talking is not one of my strong points. So I'm trying to break out of that shyness, I guess. Am I shy? I'm not too sure what to call it, but I want to break out of that fear of public speaking or being able to speak on radio or interviews or that kind of thing. So as we done in this time, so using this opportunity to kind of break out of that mold. So we have some things coming up next week. I want to have another friend of mine on that deals with emergency medical services. Now, for those who don't know, I was an EMT for 7 years or 8 years, from 2006 to 2015. So yeah, 8 years I was an EMT for. So I want to bring on a paramedic friend of mine to talk about emergency medical care during this time of COVID, and um, so I want to bring on a friend of mine, Andy Bridge-Mohansing, to kind of give insight into emergency medical services because there's a lot of things the public don't really know concerning um, emergency medicine. We kind of be the frontline people to deal with a lot of medical emergencies in Trinidad and Tobago. We can't get too deep into the company stuff, but we could get into the process of being an EMT or the life of being an EMT because that was an experience. So next week I want to bring, because I don't want to just talk to creatives alone. There's a lot of people I want to talk to and have conversations with, and so people could know a lot other stuff that's going on outside of music. Because I'm more than just a musician. Yeah, so until she gets back, I'm gonna have to say au revoir for now. Um, we were on, so until she gets back, hopefully I could stay on. And I would let you all know when we are back on. So enjoy the rest of the evening until she get back, so we can kind of, because I like closure. I'd like to end things, halfway. So just to get some closure, when she comes back on, we're gonna resume. So I don't want to keep on talking because this is scaring the shit out of me. Anyway, so enjoy the rest of your evening, and until she gets back, um, this screen is going up. So yeah, enjoy the rest of your evening. Love y'all. Fair, lay it down here. We don't need it where we're going. Hey, lay it down here. Love's a river and it's flowing. Come with me. Hey, lay it down here. Love's a river and it's flowing. Oh, oh, hey, hey, lay it down here. Love's a river and is flowing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.